Hi, Lisa Crosta here from Crescent Harbor Private Wealth. Today, I'm going to take a few minutes to talk about 529 plans. They've been in the news a lot because there's been a lot of changes with them over the last 4 or 5 years or so. So first, what's a 529 plan? I think most people know, but I'll touch on it quickly. It's a way to save for qualified education expenses, potentially tax-free, and at the very least, tax deferred. So what happened is that most states now sponsor a plan where you can put dollars aside to save for a child's or yourself's education expenses. If you use them for a qualified expense an institution that's allowed, they come out completely tax free. So where and every state has different options that you can pick from, and you don't have to stay within your state. So where all the details really lie is what can a 529 actually be used for? So the basics are tuition and fees and I'll get into the types of programs, but let's just say overall tuition and fees, room and board, if you're at least half time, books that are required, including ebooks, supplies, if you need lab supplies, if you're required to buy a computer, that'll count, internet service that you need to, do your work. A student loan repayments, that's a new expense that you can now take up to $10,000 a year out of a 529 tax-free and repay student loans. And also new one as of last year is continuing education expenses. And this is interesting. So if you're a CPA or an attorney, a nurse, and you have to take CE credits, CE courses to continue and maintain your license, these can be covered and taken from a 529. Also, the cost to attain that license are also things that you can use $529 from. Again, this could be CPAs, nurses, social workers, real estate, anybody that has license requirements they have to maintain and take courses for can use these expenses. And that's new. Now, what types of schools count? So it used to be accredited, 4-year universities and 2-year, and now they've expanded that and even a little bit further. So first, of course, your regular undergraduate and graduate programs. On top of that, the K through 12 programs. So those were added, but they were increased last year. So you used to be able to use $10,000 a year towards K through 12 expenses, private, parochial school, whatever it may be. Now you can use $20,000 a year for these schools. Also, the cost of a child in K through 12, you can also include tutoring expenses, standardized test fees, AP test fees, other tests that you need to go to college, and even educational therapy if you have a child with a disability in the K through 12 space. These expenses can come from a 529 tax-free. At the college and university level, it's more limited, the cost for tuition, for tutoring, but you can use tutoring expenses if your student has a disability, and that's what those tutoring costs are for. It's a little bit more nuanced there. As I said, graduate school. The other big change is trade and vocational schools. These were not in the old law. So if you're going to a plumber's certification program and not any kind of non-degree program, to get it doesn't have to be a regular college graduate degree, just a non-degree credential program, professionals, even apprenticeship programs, these can qualify and you can withdraw money from your 529 tax-free to pay these costs. You have to go online. There's a way you can find a giant list of all the different programs that are included, but it's pretty exhaustive. There's a lot of programs in there. It also opens up career changers, veterans coming back to use $529 that maybe weren't used for kids, and they want to now make themselves the beneficiary and use them to make some different changes in life where they need schooling in order to do that. So it does open up the dollars for a lot more uses. Now, the other big thing that's been in the news about 529s is that they can be rolled over to Roths. Now, the headline might just say, 529 to Roth. It's not quite as simple as that. There's a lot of caveats around it. The 529 must have been open for 15 years. So if you have any kids that are having young kids, new parents that are having young kids, open the Roth right away. Fund it with $5. It doesn't matter. Just get it open so it's open for 15 years. And you have to fund it to go from a 529 to a Roth. The money has to be in there for at least 5 years. So you don't have to fund it at day one, but any dollars you roll out from a 529 to a Roth must be in the account for at least 5 years. The maximum you can roll from a 529 to a Roth is $35,000 per beneficiary. So, and you can't do it all at once. You can do it over the years of the Roth maximum. So right now a Roth maximum for someone under 50 is $7,000 a year. So if you did $7,000 a year from a 529 to a Roth, You did it for 5 years, 7 times 5, you get $35,000 moved out of a 529 and to a Roth, completely tax free. And remember, Roths grow completely tax free. So this is a very powerful tool. When people tell me they're worried they're going to overfund their 529, this gets 35,000 out of every 529 you have if you haven't used the dollars for education. Um, the and also there's no income limits on being able to go from a 529 to a Roth because there's other income limits that are imposed with Roth contributions, and they do not apply here. Now, just to go back to, people worried about too much money in these 529s, you also can change beneficiaries at any time. There's no limit about the times you can change them. Anybody in your family is pretty broadly defined, but it's defined in the code section. Siblings, parents, cousins. So you can move dollars to other beneficiaries if one beneficiary doesn't use it. You also can remove scholarship dollars penalty free. Your student gets a full ride and they get, scholarship worth $50,000 a year. You can take $50,000 out of a year penalty free out of the 529, not tax free, but penalty free. So another reason not to worry too much about having these accounts overfunded. You can also now, this is new or permanently new, roll over 529s to an ABLE account. ABLE accounts are 529-like accounts for people with disabilities to cover healthcare expenses. So if you've socked a lot of money away in a 529 and there's a disability that the child now can't go to college or isn't going to a school, but you have a lot of healthcare expenses, you can roll it into an ABLE account and use it there. And if you use it for qualified expenses there, it continues to be tax-free. So that's getting the money out. Getting the money in, there's what they call a super funding option. So anybody can put in up to the gift tax amount each year without any filing requirements. So right now, every individual can put $19,000 for as many people as they want into a 529. There's a super funding option where you can front load that with 5 years. So you can put 5 years worth of $19,000, that's 95,000, into a 529 in 1 year for a single individual, single beneficiary. If you're a couple, you can double that. So it's 190,000 you can get in. So if you're going to have an estate tax problem where you're trying to move some money out of your estate as a couple, you can put 190,000 into every grandkid's account. You got 5 or 6 grandkids, that's getting, potentially $1 million out of your estate. So it can be a powerful tool. People kind of forget about that. And the only last thing to keep in mind is that some states have different rules. So no federal deduction, but the goal is to grow tax-free. And those rules are as I stated. The states may have different rules. They may give you a little deduction. I know New York gives you a deduction for doing a 529 there. Some states do, some states don't. You have to look at your individual place where you live. Also, some states don't follow the rollover rules. Like Colorado does not allow you to roll tax-free to a Roth. So there may be little nuances with your state on some of these rollover or getting the dollars out into other vehicles. So just check your state rules for those. So that's just one little caveat. So that's really it. I mean, they're very powerful tools, 529s. We use them with clients with all different levels of income. And it's just a fabulous way to save for a very large expense. So Lisa Crosta again, Crescent Harbor Private Wealth. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you.